You ever see a house for sale and it just sits there for weeks, months? What if there was a way to get those tricky properties sold? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on a really creative strategy that can turn a stagnant listing into a closed deal. It's called seller financing.
Yeah, we've all seen it, right? That for sale sign that starts to feel like a permanent fixture in the neighborhood. You look at the house, it seems great, the price looks fair, so why isn't it selling? It's a super frustrating spot to be in, not just for the seller, but for their agent too. So really, what is the holdup? In the real estate game, there's this kind of magic number, 90 days. After a house has been sitting on the market for 90 days, something just shifts. It goes from being a hot new listing to, well, kind of stale. Potential buyers start to wonder what's wrong with it. The agent feels the pressure, and that's when you start hearing whispers about dropping the price. And that's exactly the problem we're digging into today. So, how do you break what feels like the 90-day curse? Well, the answer could be this really powerful strategy called seller financing. I want you to think of it like finding a hidden key, a key that unlocks a sale that was totally jammed. It's a different path to take when the main road is, completely blocked off. Okay, so what in the world is seller financing? It's actually a pretty simple idea. It just flips the roles. So instead of you, the buyer, going to a big bank to get a mortgage, the person selling the house steps in and basically becomes the bank. The seller provides the loan directly to the buyer, and the buyer makes their monthly payments directly to them. It's that simple. And this slide just lays it all out, plain and simple. Look at the difference. On one side, you have the traditional bank loan. You're stuck with the bank's rules, a smaller pool of buyers who can actually qualify, and a process that can drag on for months. But then, look at seller financing. The seller is the lender. Suddenly, the door is open to way more buyers, and you could be closing in about 30 days. It's a totally different ballgame. All right, so what does this mean for the pros, the real estate agents out there on the front lines? Well, for them, having this strategy in their toolkit, man, it's a massive, massive advantage. And this quote really hits the nail on the head. I mean, what's the number one goal for an agent? Close deals, right? And sell more. Well, seller financing gives them a way to do that without having that awful, dreaded conversation, you know the one, about lowering the price. Because let's be honest, when the price drops, so does their commission. So what does that look like day to day? For starters, an agent who can offer this is going to win more listings, period. They can also tap into this huge pool of buyers who are totally solid. Maybe they're self-employed or their credit isn't perfect for a bank's rigid checklist, but they're great buyers. And here's the kicker for the agent. They get their full commission paid right at closing. No waiting, no nonsense. Okay, I get it for the agent. But what about the actual homeowner? I mean, why would you, as a seller, want to get into the banking business? It's a fair question. So let's look at why this is such a win for them too. The number one reason? Speed. Just look at this. You've got a seller who's been stuck in that 90-day plus nightmare, and all of a sudden, they can see a finish line in 30 days or less. Think about that. If you need to move for a job, or you're dealing with an inherited property, or you just want to get on with your life, this is absolutely huge. And let's talk about the money, because that's what it comes down to, right? The source material shows that if a property has a good amount of equity, we're talking in that 40 to 60% range, the seller has the potential to get their full asking price, 100%. No more haggling, no more frustrating lowball offers, just getting the price you wanted from the very beginning. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Wait, do I have to be a debt collector now, chasing down payments for the next 30 years? And the answer is a big, fat no. The whole thing is set up to be completely hassle-free. There are professional companies, third parties that handle all of it, the payments, the paperwork, everything. And the best part? The buyer usually covers that cost. So for the seller, it just becomes a hands-off, passive income stream. Okay, so this is all sounding pretty good, I know, but the big question is it safe? Is it legit? And that is absolutely the right question to be asking. So let's talk about the safety net that's built right into this whole process. There are basically 4 key layers of protection here. First, the buyer isn't just some random person. They're professionally vetted by a licensed mortgage loan officer. Second, like we just said, a professional company handles all the money. Third, the buyer has to get mortgage protection insurance, which protects the seller's investment. And finally, and this is so important, the whole process is compliant with federal regulations like Dodd-Frank. So this isn't some back-of-the-napkin handshake deal. It is a fully structured, professional, and secure transaction. All right, let's wrap our heads around this. Is seller financing the magic bullet for every single house on the market? Of course not. But is it an incredibly powerful, really creative solution for those tough to sell properties? 100%. Absolutely. So here's the main thing to remember. When a great house is just sitting there and all the usual buyers have disappeared, seller financing opens up a whole new door. It's a tool that can take a really frustrating situation and turn it into a win for everybody, the buyer, the seller, and the agent. And that really leaves us with one final question to think about. The real estate market is always changing, it's complex. The old ways of doing things don't always cut it anymore. So maybe the real question for you is, could thinking outside that traditional mortgage box be the exact key you need to unlock your next deal?